Hey, see it up on screen? No, see it. All right. Welcome again to another episode of Beyond the Noise with me, Greg Walls. And today, again, I have young Gracie hanging out with us today. For people who don't know, if it's first time tuning in, Gracie is one of the best instructors ever come through Performance Experience. She has worked with everybody from 6-year-olds to gentlemen getting ready for the combine and everything in between. She is a very dynamic instructor, and we're going to spend quite a bit of time with young Gracie today. But before we do that, today's show was brought to you by Speed School. Okay, Speed School Level 1, and you'll soon see Speed School Level 2. It is a all-encompassing, all-inclusive speed development and mechanical program that is designed for you to learn the movements and be more efficient, because we know how important those 40 times, 60-yard times, 5, 10, 5s, and all those other times are, especially as we all just watched the draft go through and we saw all that speed flash across the screen. Shout out to all my frogs who got drafted on day 1, day 2, and all that other good stuff. I think the Frogs had the most first-round picks to come out of Texas. Hey, and shout out to Coach Jeremy Motkins. Listen, Motkins, boy, I told you when they first gave you the gig. Jeremy Motkins is a secondary coach, a cornerback coach over there at TCU. And in my opinion, that is the best pickup, hire, recruit, whatever you want to call it, over the past 10 years. He got those kids ready immediately. And for people who don't see that, you might want to pay attention to one of the young up-and-coming stars in coaching. Oh, J Mock, you do not go unrecognized, homeboy. Great job with those kiddos. Gladney, shout out to you. Good job, man. Go out there and do your thing. Now, I'm going to be quiet today and let one of the best young instructors I've ever seen talk to you about why she's so good and how we can help make your athletes more efficient, more effective. So today, as we talk, please interrupt, jump in with questions, jump in with thoughts, ask questions about training. We're going to be 100 miles an hour with you and 100% honest with you. And then if you don't like what we say, dispute it. Let's see if we can come to an agreement or a consensus. So, Grace, you've been in the training game for what now? How long? Is it 3, 4 years now?
4.
Yeah, is that includes your internship?
No, that would be 5 then.
Okay, so 5 years you've been learning this craft,
yes.
Right? All right, what's the most fun you've had working with an athlete? Let's go.
Oh, that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say names?
Yeah, well, shout out the kid if you're going to say names, shout them out.
Okay. Probably Jordan Jorgensen.
Shout out
was a lot of
Jordan.
fun. He's not really a kid though, he's an adult.
Right.
But we were working on football.
And Jordan went to Truman State,
yes.
Division II football school. Jordan set a few records, ran a few punts back for touchdowns from my understanding. He was a good wide receiver. I know he had great hands. Big physical kid. What did he come in there for, Grace?
He came in to work on speed, mainly because he wanted a shot to play either to go perform at someone's pro day or and then the different Canadian teams that come out here and go to one of those tryouts.
So, you went to the trial, didn't you?
I went to 2.
How was that experience?
That was interesting. It was really cool to see. It was really hilarious to be part of it.
Why is
that? Because I went with Jason, because Jason was in charge of all the football side of everything that Jordan did.
I need you to tell the people who Jason is.
Oh, Jason.
Yeah, okay. Just random guy named Jason. Shout out to old Goss. Goss is a really good coach.
So Jason Goss played at TCU with Greg.
Jason Goss is one of the top 10 cornerbacks in TCU history.
And then he also played at Arizona for the Cardinals, and then he played 7 years?
Bears,
he
played.
Well,
he played a couple of years with the Bears, but I think he played 1 year in Arizona and 1 year with the Bears, 2 years with the Bears. It was a couple of years.
But then he had a pretty nice career in the CFL in Canada. So he was in charge of everything football related. And then my part was to both make him stronger and to get him to understand the basics and the fundamentals of speed so that it could be transitioned into all his other movements.
Right.
So that was a quick timeline, but the experience to get to go to that kind of event was really cool.
Yeah.
I had a completely different perspective, and it was really interesting to see like people who went and like I saw a guy blew his hamstring out running the 40.
Yeah.
He didn't know it. He didn't want to admit it. But
How
he did.
old were these cats? Like what? You're talking about the Canadian League, so they went out to try to play professional football.
Yeah.
So some of them fresh out of college, some of them might have played a few in the league, some of them might have been out of playing. So how many athletes was out there?
Well, one of them was smaller. I think there was probably 75, 80 at the first one, and then there was a buku ton at the other one. Probably like 150, almost 200.
How much is a buku ton?
Like,
I heard buku. You got a buku ton.
I said 150. I said like 150.
Okay.
But there was quite a bit of the skill position at the second one, so that one wasn't as quality as the first one. I think the first one was Saskatchewan.
Okay.
That was a while ago.
Yeah. Well, let me give the audience a little bit of understanding and background on what you're saying. So we're talking about, it's not the combine and it's not necessarily a pro day. It's a Canadian leagues. They travel all over the United States to see the talent and pick a few Americans to play. Because you can, in Canada, you can only have a certain amount of Americans on each team. So for an assortment of reasons, because they got to have people, from Canada to represent, their teams, their professional teams. But there's only a certain amount of Americans that can actually play on each team. Also, there's a bonus structure in Canada that if you play a certain amount of years, you get tenured and then you get a nice little piece of change every year afterwards. So it's big business. I'm saying all of that to say, so you get a bunch of coaches and GMs coming out from that team, and it's 75, 80, 85 athletes out there for what, 3 hours, Grace, or 2 hours?
Yeah, the first one was a little different than the second one because I think the first one was understaffed, and because Jason knew them, we actually got a chance to be part of it. So I was at the front of the 40, making sure that their hands weren't like over the line, things like that, and then he was at the back end calling out times.
So you were the only person on the field that looked like you.
Well, I was the only one that wasn't a girlfriend or
right on the field. Well, yeah. Everybody else was in the stands, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So you were actually giving. How was that when people got to listen to you? We talking about linebackers, ex pro players, cats aspiring to go pro. How hard is it for them to listen to your direction or instruction?
Usually it takes a second
really?
For them to pay attention or to want to listen.
I just thought it was a lot of the times, and this is a true statement, it was the parents that always showed a little bit of a reserve, well, sometimes a lot of bit of reserve, but show reserve. I didn't know the kids take a little bit of time to. Why is that?
I wouldn't say that. I would say if they're older, like so like teenagers take a little bit more, especially guys. I don't know if it's because I look young. I haven't figured out what it is, and it just takes them a minute to try to figure out like. Why are you showing me how to do this?
Right,
like,
right.
It doesn't. They don't. It doesn't make sense to them. It definitely doesn't take long for them to figure it out though.
Right.
I guess mainly, probably because I'm a girl and they can't possibly understand why I'm able to show them how to do these things that they're supposed to be able to do.
But you work out on a consistent basis, right?
Yeah.
And you've played sports.
Yeah.
And you have your degree in this stuff.
Yes.
So why is it so? Because I don't have my degree in this. I have my degree in education, right? We both played sports. I didn't run the fastest time, but when people see me, it's automatic that I get respect that you should probably get. So how many clients you got right now?
I think 20.
You got 20 clients. How many of them are athletes?
I only have 6 adults.
So 14, 15 one-on-one athletes. They all probably a little bit taller than you.
All of them.
Right. So how in the world do you, 4 or 5 years in the game, get 15 aspiring, because they all want to play at their next level. Why are they listening to you? You didn't play football. How do they know you know? How did they find out about these results?
Well.
And I want you to tell them, but I can tell them, but I want you to tell them.
Well, I have, like, as you call them, receipts.
You got receipts. They will tell you got receipts.
But that, and then I use a lot of video. I use a lot of video for them to see the difference between, like, what they look like, what they don't look like more. I use a lot of, I guess I call them mind tricks, really. They're not really. I just know what they should be feeling. I'm like, all right, you're gonna feel burn in these places, this place, maybe this place. But these are the places that you're supposed to target, and that's what you're gonna feel because of these things, and these things.
Right.
So, like, I have a kid that I'm working with right now who's supposed to have a camp at the beginning of June, and I've trained him 4 times over Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. And just in like 3, I'm like, all right, we're gonna do these things to help, because he has an anterior pelvic tilt, and all that really means
What's
is
that mean? Yeah.
that means he, like, overarches his low back,
He got
and
sway in his back.
his pelvis flips to the front, so it causes a discomfort when he's trying to keep good posture, and it starts to hurt over a long period of time. So that compromises his ability to have proper posture when running, and that also compromises his ability to activate his glutes, his hamstrings, and the backside of his body. So then everything goes back here because he's hurting. He's uncomfortable, and he'll, like, hold his hands right here. That's how I can tell he's hurting. So it's my job to make sure that he can properly activate everything in his core muscles as well as his backside, so that we can keep everything front side and he doesn't blow out his hamstring or get hurt. But I was able to show him, I have his video from when he sent me what he looks like versus the last session that we did, and we did a similar drill, and he doesn't look the same. He doesn't look the same because to me it's important to make sure that they not only understand my words, but they can feel and see the difference in what they're doing, because they have to. I'm a why person. I like to know why. Like, it's imperative to me. If you're gonna tell me no, tell me why you're telling me no. Like, it has to be a reason why. Like, you can't just tell me no. That's not acceptable. I don't accept that. I don't accept that. So I like to make sure that they understand why we're doing something. That way they can be like, the next time they feel the other way, they can remember that.
So what is the thing, because we run into so many things. The biggest thing that I feel like I run into is what I call a microwave situation. It took a lot of years for us to understand that there's a mental approach to a physical activity that can help you well beyond the physical activity. And that's called skill. A lot of these kids have talent. Skill is something that takes time to develop. So my philosophy or my approach is literally whole part whole. I'm gonna throw this puzzle on the table, break all the pieces up, and you're gonna be like, I don't know what to do with this. And then each day, we're gonna just start putting sections of the puzzle together until we get to the end. The biggest problem I run into, Gracie, is that many times we don't get a chance to see it all the way through the end. So we're always at a restart somewhere.
We're always pausing with the puzzle?
Yeah, we always pause with the puzzle, like, I'll be right back. It's almost like with Nintendo. When it's time to eat, you just let the game stay on, until you hurry up and sprint back. So what is one of the biggest issues for your athletes? And then I'll ask you about you. What do you run into that makes it difficult to max out the development of your athlete?
Well, ironically right now they don't have that. The fullness in their schedules, like, especially like sports for youth, they have so many schedules. They have school schedules, select schedules, and then if they're playing multiple sports at school because they're required to try out, and then they still have to be regular kids, and then they still have homework and chores and things that they have to do. So it's like,
can we froze up there? I'm listening, Gracie.
So so it just makes it hard for things like us or for me to be a priority. Like, how can I be like, no, you can't go, you don't need to be going to the game because that's not going to help.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, that's not why they do it. They do it so they can go do those things. So it's just a battle of time, and then parents being able to come up there and do that, like that's the biggest part, because that's what causes the gaps in time of being able to do stuff. And why they leave, and because they have to go play, they have tournaments out of town. That's honestly probably the biggest thing that keeps from being able to see it all the way through.
Okay, so let's go right into the speed stuff.
Okay.
So from this point forward, any coaches, parents, kids, if you have any questions, drop them on, and you can interrupt us at any time, because we're gonna go on and on with this, because I've been waiting to get up with this topic. Grace, so for you to teach a kid to be faster, I realize, because you work right there with me, that one of your biggest obstacles is the support early from the parent. How do you earn that? And I mean you specifically. Don't tell me, well, I just try to be professional. No. How did you go from, hey, I don't know if she'll be able to handle teaching my son this, to, hey, Greg, I was a little concerned at first when you said something, but now I'm so excited and appreciative for you putting Gracie on the job. What did you do to get to that?
Aside from the standard answer,
yeah, give it. Like,
just I made them mine. Like
how?
Well, I made the family mine.
How?
So I make sure that I'm the one that's communicating with the parents, so that they understand. Like, and I always send kids home with homework, and I know that for some people that doesn't mean a lot. But I think it's important to send them home with something to work on, because then it shows that you care outside of what you do with them there, or it's not like, all right, they already left, my job's done, like that's the end of it. But it's really not, because then they can see that I want them to do better outside, so that when they come back in here, I don't have to waste that time. It's not because it's a time waster, it's more like I get extra time, and I can add another element, or I can add a layer to it, or I can be like, all right, you did this at home, or you didn't do this at home, now we can't do this. Because now it's not just my responsibility. It's not just about what I am doing or not doing. It's about what are we doing as a team that we can do better at, in order for you to see what you want to see on the court or on the field. Because if you're not doing what I'm asking you to do, I can't force you to do it. Then you must not want to be here.
Okay.
And I've always said I wouldn't be like a regular coach, like
fire, brimstone, do it like this, yelling, pointing, or over exaggerating the good job, even if it's not a good job.
Well, that, and I don't know how I would do in a team element. Like, I love basketball. I just don't know if I would love being a basketball coach.
Right, because you can't individualize the information.
No.
Not in the moment.
Like, and it's so you have to be so lackluster in detail when it comes to stuff like that. It's hard to get everybody to pay attention to those details, because as a collective, we have something that we have to accomplish. But individually, I don't have to. Individually, I can focus on these small things. Right. I can get your attention to, hey, you're not doing this part. That's why we can't get better at this part.
That's why we always say the devil's in the details. So let's go right into the details, Grace. So what is the number one problem you've ran into over the past 4 or 5 years with athletes? The thing you see the most when it comes to hindering running fast?
Dorsiflexion.
Dorsiflexion. You see how simple that is?
Or pointing your toes up toward the sky.
Yeah, I'm going to say, now explain to the people what dorsiflexion is. And then why? Why is that so important?
Because it's like everything starts from the foot up. In basketball, you're running on the court. In hockey, you're skating with your feet. In soccer, you kick the ball with your feet, and you get to the spot with your feet. Football, you have to run to the spot. You have to move your feet to run routes. Like, it's involved in everything. And if your ankles hurt, you can't play.
Why dorsiflex? Why is that so important? What does that do for the athlete and his efficiency in running?
It helps to promote a better foot strike, because it's harder to hit your whole foot. And then 2, it creates that bounce whenever they come back down, in order for that force to recoil. So dorsiflexion versus plantar flexion. So or like up is dorsy, down is plantar, like towards the ground. So you want to make sure that they understand they can't develop power from their toes.
Right.
If that was the case, ballerinas would leap a little bit higher when it comes to that. But when they do that, they have to have a running start.
And ostriches been able to jump like you know.
I didn't know that. I'm not a.
No, they would be able to jump like, I don't know, the big green monster, what's his name?
Oh, Hulk?
Yeah,
You forgot?
No, I watched Infinity Wars and it made me sad how he made it look like.
What's your favorite one?
I know, and he
Did you
just made it,
forget?
so I think I'm going to Doctor Strange. But anyway, what dorsiflexion. Now, let's talk about the speed school program.
Okay.
Right? So it's level 1, it's a course, and we take the approach of the course, 16 workouts, all with voiceovers and video and plugs, and it's in an app. It's designed for the young athlete, because for me, let me tell you what I learned over the past 30, 40 days. I have the hardest time doing athletic instruction over the internet. It's just difficult because it's not like group exercise. And then the kids get frustrated because you're so used to making the correction. If you're good, you start making correction in the moment, and you have to know what they feel.
You know what? It wasn't that hard for me, only because probably after the first month and a half, maybe 2, I start to pull away from physically doing it. Not because I'm lazy or I don't want to.
I get it.
I verbally explain what I'm trying to get them to understand, so I can see what words they understand to give me the result that I'm getting, so that they remember on their own. And I tell them all the time, like, I can't be at your track meet running with you, being like, move your arms in your pocket, your pocket, your pocket. Like, I can't do that. I mean, I could, but I won't.
It looked hilarious.
And so I always tell them and the adults, my job is to make sure that you can be successful away from me. If you're not successful away from me, that says more about me than you.
What drill do we see done wrong the most?
Butt kick.
Man, so parents, coaches, please chime in. The butt kick is the one that actually keeps us in business, Gracie. So I'm gonna be honest with you. What I learned is that most people just do what they see or do what they're told or say what they've heard and ask you to repeat it. Because we've taken this teacher and scientific approach, once I learned that the butt kick, the efficiency of the butt kick turns over the efficiency of the high knee, and now you have a real strike and turnover, all of the kids that I work with started moving a little quicker. So in that, I'm asking you, because that's how I base my premise of program building. What do they look like in what I call the perfect movements? High knees, butt kicks, and next. I have to see what that looks like in that rhythm. If that rhythm is not what it needs to be, most of the time it's because of the butt kick. How do you take the information you get from wrong drills like that and make it make sense during the course of the time you work out with a kid? And first of all, try to explain to the folks what's the right way.
Okay.
Please listen, everybody.
Okay, so most of the time you guys will see butt kicks as like, and if you're watching the video, you'll see my hands move. Almost like when dogs kick their feet back to move the grass after go to the restroom. That's the best way I know. So you see butt kicks do like that, right? And then they kick the big part of their butt, and it's like they put their hands on their butt, and their goal is to hit their tennis shoes to their hands.
That's crazy.
Okay, so I mean, and I always use this example too, like, who is your favorite athlete? Insert whatever sport, and we'll pretend it's me. I love Kobe Bryant. I have never seen Kobe Bean Bryant run a fast break with his legs looking like that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't ever.
Yeah.
So I display it that way, and I'm like, okay, so I want you to do it this way. So instead, that same movement, when they get behind their legs, let's say this is the top of their head, this is their hips, and this is the back of their leg. They fold at their hips to look like an L. And then, so I want them to take that L and turn it into a V and put it on the front side.
So everything's pointing straight ahead.
Like an arrow. And then we point their toes up so that when their foot comes down, it touches the ball part of their foot or the pads of their feet. That way they can understand, all right, this is what makes it come straight up, straight down.
And you wrote a lot of this stuff in the speed school program.
Yeah.
Okay, what is that? Because a lot of that work is yours. And ladies and gentlemen, we also have a Spanish version of it as well.
Yeah. So I tried to take what was Greg and Jason's thing that they started together for speed school as a group before I even got there, and they had it all written out already. And Greg tasked me with, he's like, "Can you make this look better?" I'm like, "All right, I can see what I can do." And so I started plugging it in and doing different stuff with it just to make it more visibly attractive.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of this started to happen, and we were able to put it into play. So all I did really was make it more at-home friendly, so that they don't have to feel like they need equipment or they need a professional with them. Not because we're not necessary, but because it's something that they can do on their own. Like it's something that every athlete who has ever been great, not good, but great, bestows upon themselves to work on their own outside of their coaches, outside of their trainers, outside of their team. Like that's what separates people from being average and being good and being great. Like that's the difference. So all of the workouts are either body weight or lightweight exercises that they can do at home, and then it's broken up into phases that have been given different names. So like the first phase is about efficiency, and that's past like the fundamentals, after they get to see the perfect movements, after they get to see what the different cues are and the words that I use and Greg uses and the team uses in order to get the same message across. So that way they can put it into the rest of the workouts when it turns into acceleration and deceleration and lateral movements. And so that way they understand how to do what to do by those points in the program.
How long have you been working on making this digital so we can get it out to the world and let
in total?
Yeah, how long have you been working?
Are you talking about hours or months or days?
Years, days. I've been working on it for 4 years. So
well, I started making it more attractive. I think like a year and a half ago.
And then you put your footprint in it when you start developing the program itself.
Yeah.
See, she's cutting herself short. Like she wrote a lot of the program. I don't know why she won't say it.
Okay.
That's what it is. And she wrote the Speed School Level 2 program. But
because I'm a team person.
Yeah,
it's not about me.
Right. Because we're gonna get it out to the people. It's actually 16 solid workouts, all based in fundamentals. And you wrote a lot of. We don't call you a mechanic for nothing. I mean, that's just the way that is. So with that, how is that beneficial? Coupled with, it makes your job easier because now you can get past development and get into enhancement.
Yeah, and then it's constant homework. It's like, all right, I can tell them to work on, I need you to work on these two things because you're not doing this well enough. Or we can't get to this part because this hasn't gotten better. It gives them like a visual or like a plan for them to work on things on their own too. There are an endless amount of reasons for them to be part of doing something like that.
Right.
Because the more I keep going back to like elite athletes or like people who play the best at the highest levels, but those people understand their sport better than anything, and that's why when parents want them to come and it's May 11th, and they are like,
May 31st, I gotta be ready for this.
June 2nd, have a camp at such and such, and I need to run this. I'm running this.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and parents don't understand. Parents and kids sometimes don't understand. Like, that's not how it works.
Why not? The reason I say it doesn't work like that is because learning is learning, and you got to build a foundation to learn something. If we have to correct things before we can make them better, then you got to learn before you can practice, like we said before. So,
well, even like it's just like anything. I mean, and I'm sure they'll understand a little bit more now that they've been at home with them and having to do their homework every single day because all their work is homework. You haven't been in high school in this many years since being a parent. I'm sure you don't remember the rules of sine, cosine, and tangent for geometry.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm pretty positive, unless you're a math instructor or you're some type of math whiz and you just know that stuff, you don't know it because it's out of practice, because it's not something, in high school it wasn't something that you took the time to actually learn. You took the time to memorize the steps in order to get those answers.
Absolutely.
So, and it's the same thing, like, I know Spanish because I grew up speaking Spanish, and it took years for me to be comfortable with it, because as a kid I just knew what I was repeating. And now it's like I have to think in both sometimes to hear what I'm trying to get out of it. So that's something that I learned, something that's never going away. Like I'm always going to know how to do it. And if they took that same approach to wanting to learn how to have their kids to learn speed,
yep.
they would need less training further up.
What do you mean?
So if parents took the time for them to understand, like, all right, my kid is 9, 10, 11, 12 years old.
There it is right there. So.
And they want these things. They want to be able to be this good. And I get it. It's hard to want to invest in a kid who likes dinosaurs today and Barbies tomorrow. But if that's something that they truly are displaying some type of attraction to or a passion about, like that's something and a tool worth giving them, because that's an edge that they're gonna need, especially because kids are becoming better. Like I've been keeping up with high school girls basketball past year and a half. Oh my God, they would murder everybody 4 years before. Like the WNBA in 4 years is gonna be phenomenal.
The
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, ain't it? It's like I said, I was like, man, I don't know if
I'd have been embarrassed.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, I don't know if I would have got a scholarship the way like they're bigger, like way bigger. They younger, they faster, and they got like a skill element. It's like, hold up, man. Now I thought I was a good athlete as you, but you got a skill over there.
I find myself fangirling over high school girls. I'm like, oh my God.
I'm telling you, man, that skill set is ridiculous. With that said, how long does it usually take for you to start seeing progress in an athlete? Give me hours of work.
It gets pretty after about 5, and then it gets a little ugly. Because then they feel good about it and they stop doing it at home. And they stop doing it at home though, because like, oh, I'm getting good, I understand it, and then they stop doing it. And then it gets good again, and it really just depends on what the goal is though too. Like, like I've had one girl that I've had since she was in 5th grade, and I remember because I made her cry the day of her 5th grade graduation. It was an accident.
It's so terrible.
I promise.
And you had a crown birthday.
No, 5th grade graduation.
Same thing.
And then she's going to be in. God, is she already gonna be in 9th grade?
That's crazy. 4 years.
Yes, yep. She's gonna be in 9th grade.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So okay. So she's going to the 9th grade this next year, and we used to work 2-3 times a week, and we're to the point to where she comes back and she hasn't lost it,
right? Because
it's into her that far deep.
So how long did it take to get that mechanical development?
At least that whole summer.
So we're talking about 25 hours, 26 hours.
Yeah, and then we did sporadic stuff because of, and then she also did stuff with speed school too. So it wasn't just me by myself.
60 hours of just learning how to do something.
Yeah, because she did speed school too, and then dozens of hours of soccer that she went and did on her own. But all of that over the course of a summer. So then we went into fall, because that's when they do fall ball for soccer. And we started doing sporadic because she started getting more busy. But I would say at least anywhere between 18 to 20 hours of work for it to actually be something that they consistently do. And that's with me not including all the things that I send them home with. Like that's what I'm talking about. That's the limited, that's the short end. Right. Because I know her parents would make her do the homework, and I'm asking for I'm specific with my homework. I say I want you to do these things. It's going to take 10 to 15 minutes, and I need you to do it 2 to 3 times away from me.
Away from me. Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm going to be able to know if you did it or not.
So go ahead.
No, I'm just doing math in my head. So if that's 30 minutes over 3 months, which is 4, 8, 12. Like 60 hours.
Plus what she was doing with you, that makes her, now she can practice.
Yeah.
It took that long to learn just so she can practice. Almost like Ben.
It was 9 days different from her 7th grade mile run to her 8th grade mile run.
Like, shout out to Ben Roberts, who's been rocking with me since he was what, 8 years old, 9 years old. Big Ben is now 16 years old. And all of his movements are just, I mean,
I think you cut him short. I think he might be, is he 16?
yeah, he's 16.
Okay, I thought he was going to be a junior. That's right.
If you think about it, he just perfected his movements, what, about 2 months ago? As to where we don't even look at him. He knows exactly how to do what to do, and he's more powerful, more efficient. And now he's grown into his body, so now he's going to be able to, whatever talents that he has, I expect Ben to maximize. Not because we did anything special, it's just that he worked enough to build a foundation of now he can't do the basics wrong. So what are your go-tos? And when you're evaluating or you're trying to bring a point home, what are your go-to exercises and why? Like what's the whole premise of the concept behind? And we're just talking about speed. If you want to take somebody and they want to run a faster 40, you still have go-tos. Like for me, I teach any race from the end of the race back.
Are you talking about any drill? Are you talking about like in the assessment or like during the actual
like,
training?
what are you looking for? Not what are you looking at? What are you looking like? You got drills that you go after just to fix things, and then what are you looking for in those drills?
I'm looking for them to be to keep everything on the front end.
What's the drills like? What? Because
I use a lot of ladder drills. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of. It's hard though to do the ladder at the beginning. I never recommend using the ladder like the first like 2 weeks.
Why not?
When it comes to like fast moving stuff, because then they just try to run in it and they tiptoe. It's not the same thing. Like that's the boys hate it and the girls. I can never read them when it comes to that. But the boys hate it because they feel like they should be pushing sleds and they should be pulling parachutes and being on bungee cords. When really it's like, all right, if we're gonna do these things and those small things make everything better. I do a lot of A march, which is like a slower high knee or a slower A skip, overemphasizing the movements. And I tell the boys all the time, especially, like, I need you to over exaggerate. I need you to put your acting skills to play because right now I'm not convinced that you're gonna run fast. And that's the truth because they think because they look good, because they have big arms, they have big bodies, like that's just gonna make them look faster. It's gonna come out the way they think it should.
That makes so much sense. So what's the keys to speed? Like you found the formula because I got receipts. I know what your athletes look like over 30 hours of work, and I know what they look like over 12 hours of work. I've seen people who could barely walk and chew gum. Now they can do the hokey pokey. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of rhythm and it's a lot of balance and there's a lot of
patience.
That go with that. But what is your concept to get to those? How do you keep getting those results? Because it's not just hard work and stuff. What are you doing? Like we're talking about running fast. We're talking about the difference between a scholarship to TCU and SFA could be 1500ths of a second, could be a tenth of a second, and a lot of people think that like it's no time, but it's a lot of time.
Oh my God!
When you're running up against that time, that's a lot of like all my 4.4 and 4.3 cats that's on the line listening right now. Please understand, if you're 15 and you run a 4.4, you are world class. Okay, and I don't know many world class sprinters at 15. I know a couple. So I want everybody to be realistic about the clock, because that's what we're talking about, and the efficiency of the running. So what are the things?
Okay, so to put that into perspective, because it made me think about the combine, and shout out to the Cowboys because they actually did a pretty decent job. Thank you so much. They got.
Kenny ain't gonna like that at all. Kenny from DC, he might not let you back in the studio.
I'm not sorry. But anyways, they drafted a center from Wisconsin, which, as you know, they lost Travis Frederick because he had to retire for an early autoimmune disorder. Anyways, they got a new center. He's like 309, and I don't remember, but he ran a 4.59. I think that's what they said.
Was it 4.95 or 4.59?
I'm dyslexic sometimes.
Whatever it was,
but it was in the high fours though. But when you're 309 pounds, anything sub 5 is ridiculous.
That's like a hippo running towards you.
I don't know anything about hippos.
Well, hippos run 40 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying? And you know how much I hate hippos. But anyway,
yes, I do.
that is blazing. So
I was like, thank God.
Yeah, that's great.
That was so awesome to hear that. Like, that's so cool.
So what are you doing to get that efficiency? Like, what is, for me, I have a premise. So it's like, all right, we got to fix these three things. And once we find out what's wrong, usually it's the hips and the shoulders and the foot strike. Usually it's those three components. I always say if you fix one, it will fix one of the others.
My, first I have to establish what they understand. Like,
So you gotta
what part of what I'm saying makes sense to them. Like, I want to see them do it because I know they know how to do stuff. That's not the problem. I want to hear how they receive what I'm asking them to do, because I need to figure out how to get what I'm trying to say across to them in a way that they're gonna both understand and remember the most.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the first thing that I always try to do. So I always do a lot of slow stuff. It always looks funny to the parents, like, why aren't they moving fast? They're supposed to be working on sprinting.
Why aren't they doing cardio?
Yeah, and then secondly, I weave in the strength component where they lack the most, which happens to be the hip flexors. So I do that simultaneously. Then once I see that they're doing those things at home, I'll send them home with the strength ones, because those are the ones you can't mess up. Like, I don't have to worry about them developing a bad habit while I can't watch them, or worrying about if their parents can fix it while I'm not there. Something that they can do, and it makes them responsible for their own well-doing.
When you're coaching speed, what's the most fun tool, or what's the tool you use the most of the apparatus outside of just the body weight stuff?
The tool I use, jump rope.
I was hoping you would say that. So I want to talk about the jump rope because I think every athlete on the planet, if you want to call yourself an athlete, should learn how to skip rope. And I mean, really learn how to skip rope. And I've learned that a lot of people these days just have a hard time skipping rope. But I'm from the double Dutch era, where you could do a cartwheel into the rope and get them feet extra hot. Like, I'm from the double Dutch era, so I shout out to all the double Dutchers in the universe. But anyway, I really want to know, Grace, why the jump rope? Before you answer, for me, the jump rope, I did a little bit of research on it, and science says that it helps in multiple arenas. It helps with your hand-eye coordination. It helps with your expansion of brain capacity. It helps with your thought control and rhythm and tempo, and your foot strike and your hip placement. So if you can teach a kid how to skip rope and do some tricks in that skipping rope, because from my understanding, speed school has a whole section basically dedicated to skipping rope. It's single leg, both legs, running, high knees in place, because we want to see that tempo. I'm actually really excited to get this program out and into the public's hands because it's designed, 10 and up, 10 years old and up, and
5th grade and up.
Parents, coaches, kids, it's easy to understand, easy to read. If you speak Spanish, all of that good stuff. I'm really excited about the program that you put together. And all these premises gonna be in this program?
So it'll have, like, at the beginning, the way it looks really, I like the way it looks. So it's coupled with a digital software called Kajabi, and then you get a downloadable PDF that you can hold in your hands, because I'm a physical person, so I wanted to provide that for both parents and kids who like that kind of stuff.
So they get a PDF and they get an app, right?
Yes, so they download that in order to access all of the online software where you get all the videos. So at the beginning you get your welcome, and you get information about what to expect, and then like a hi from you, and then
right.
And then the first section is split up into 3 parts. So there's some quadruped movements for them to use. They can use for either strength.
What's that mean, Bruce?
So quadruped is anything that is on all fours, like a dog. So hands on the ground, knees on the ground. So they'll do things like fire hydrants, mule kicks, things that you can use both as strength, or you can use as a warm-up or as a cool-down. Things to help with those areas that we talked about earlier. So like hip flexors, making sure we keep our back flat, making sure we can open our legs up. And then there's also a section for dynamic movements. the movements that we ask them to perform at the beginning of every
Perfect.
hour. Or so, actually, that's different. I separated it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the dynamic ones consist of things like lunge and twist, tin soldiers, or some people call them Frankensteins. Examples of why we need them to look this way.
Right.
And not just doing them.
Right
Not just doing the Frankensteins that you do with your team, and it's not a knock on Coach G or whoever is coaching with you. It's more, there are certain things that have to be done a certain type of way.
I'm Coach G, by the way.
Oh.
Yes,
and then there's the perfect movements. So there's 3 videos under the welcome. And then the perfect movements consist of high knees, butt kicks, A skip, all the faster moving things that they that rhythm is applied to.
So there's a lot of thought that went into this, and this simplistic measures expedites actually the work they do with their team in the weight room and anything else of that nature. I also heard you got an adult program coming out, and I know you wrote that one.
I did. I do.
That 16 workout also. Yeah.
Yes. Is it 16?
Yeah, I think it's 16.
No, that one's 8. That one's 8. I made it for a month worth.
Okay.
But
so twice a week.
Twice a week.
I got it. Yeah.
Okay. And what happens is that one looks similar, but it's a little different. This one has a whole bunch of verbiage inside, because I'm a very wordy person.
No
Some people like to tell me
about it.
I won't mention any names.
Don't, because I don't know the people either, but it's ridiculous.
Coach G.
Yeah. I don't know that guy. I can flip it anytime. I don't know Coach G. But,
so I put a lot of verbiage inside so they could couple it with the videos that are up top. So it has like a mini library at the beginning of each workout with a short clip of how to perform each movement and the name of the exercise, and it's matched inside of the verbiage. So they look at the verbiage, they look at the exercise, and they do the exercise. And they just follow the instructions.
Just to piggyback off of that, part of that program, the reason for that program is literally built in confidence. It's designed mostly for women who are learning to strength train or want to lose weight or don't want to be in the gym and they want to like figure out how to do things at home, and they can skip the embarrassment and all, and they can actually get after it feeling safe about the movements. That's what that program, and it's intense. The intensity level is not anything to play with either. I'm excited about the exercise choices because we did the exercise.
Oh yeah, I was about to say disregard.
Yeah, we know. So
my sweaty pits in some of those videos.
Yeah, those videos they are as real as they can be.
There was no makeup or anything.
So let's give them some dates. If you can type it in, if you guys are online. So our pre-sale date, you will be able to pre-order Speed School Level 1 and Total Body Tone on May 12th. May 12th. That's whenever you'll be able to pre-order. And then you'll be able to actually get your physical program. So everybody who ordered between the 12th and the 18th will get their program on the 19th of May at the MSRP is what, $119. They can get it at $59. $59 in that pre-order time. A lot of our clients, I'm happy to announce, if any of you are listening, many of our Speed School kiddos and many of our personal training clients will be able to experience this program at no cost. So all of our new ones will be able to get it at half off. And then after the rollout, the price will increase, but it is designed with you in mind. There's a lot of information, easy to read, easy to pay attention to. The details are all there. A lot of time and energy went into it. Coaches, if you want your team to have a fundamental understanding, order it. Parents, if you want your kid to have that kind of confidence and you don't come in my office and going, well, I wasn't that fast, so, I don't think he's going to be that fast. It's just not in his genes. Because we don't run in genes. Okay? That's why. I don't care what anybody says. Fast is fast, but speed efficiency can be taught. Everybody can be taught to move faster. It's like sticking your head under the hood of the car, and that's why we call Gracie the mechanic. Give me a story of success according to what you see as success for your athletes.
Okay, I have a young man. He at the time was playing for, I think, Express.
Mm-hmm.
He was at catcher, and one of his goals was to not get thrown out.
Mm.
Getting to first,
mm-hmm.
and that was definitely a success. He told me about that, and his mom told me about that too.
Wow. So he was getting out the box. He was able to turn him over.
Yeah. So yeah, he got a nice hit off, and he made it first without getting thrown out. And then he even felt great enough to try to steal second.
But did he still say when he got that heat put on?
Honestly, I was so excited about the first part.
Yeah,
I did. I don't even remember.
That was hilarious.
And then I think you guys heard about it the first time, but it never gets too old to tell.
Right.
Luke.
Luke.
Yeah, he gets to play at Harvard starting in August, so I'm so excited for that. And then I have an adult who I consider one of my athletes. Her name is Amanda, and if she's listening. She went and ran her first marathon. And make no mistake, I am not a marathon runner at all. I would much prefer running for distance than sprints, just because I was never the fastest. I'm probably faster now than I was in high school, honestly. But she came to meet Greg.
Right.
And Greg got her going, and it was about a year in that she wanted to start training for a marathon. So we did. And Amanda's a CPA, so she does not have a whole lot of time, and she's like a big wig at her firm.
Mm-hmm.
So always going according to the crazy schedule they have her jumping through. Anyway, so we are working, and in October I got to go to Chicago for the first time because she wanted me to go watch her run a marathon. Her goal was to do it in 30 minutes. She did it.
Not 30 minutes. You run a marathon in 30 minutes.
You know what I mean?
You flex.
4:30. 4:30.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
4:30.
And she finished in literally exactly that time.
Wow,
it was crazy.
Yeah.
That was the goal, and she went out there and literally got it. And that was because she was on the phone some of the time. She was trying to find us.
Yeah.
Her phone died, and she had to switch because
Yeah.
she was listening to music. I honestly believe she would have crushed it by another, like, at least 5 minutes had she really, really done it. And then she wasn't feeling dead the next day like some people do. Like, I think it might have been 3 days after, and she was already working out again.
She's a monster. Grace, so what do you want people to get from your speed school program or from your total body tone program? Like, what do you want? What's the goal?
I want them to get that feeling, like what she had at the end of that, because I treated her the same way I treat them. Like, I made her do all the same things that I make them do, and she's just an adult. Like, I made her do stuff, the very things that are in that program, like working on how her engine moves. Like, that was completely foreign to her.
Mm-hmm.
And
what do you mean by how her engine moves? What are we talking about?
So she was so used to distance running, keeping her hands so close to her side and not really moving them. And then
she was
yeah, she was Harlem shaking while she was running. Anyways, I worked on her footwork, on making sure that she could pick her feet up, put them down, like the way she struck the ground. And this was for miles and miles. Like, the way I treated her as a sprinting athlete, and let her do her distance elements with it.
Makes sense.
And then added the strength training component for the amount of miles that she was running. Like,
so she needed muscular endurance, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and then proper mechanics, because that was a big difference for her. I think that really helped her understand how her body works and how not to be tired, and how to utilize every part of her in order to get what she was trying to get.
I want to make a point on that, Grace. So I do mean to cut you off, but here's why. Like, have you seen Amanda's body?
Yeah.
She doesn't have what they would consider a distance run. I wish we could pull it up on the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking. I know Amanda wouldn't mind, but she is physically muscular, and her back is muscular, and she's very toned, and so she's not real thin. So what Grace is talking about is she had to build muscular endurance because muscle takes a lot of oxygen. So if you have a lot of muscle, it's difficult to run distance because it takes so much oxygen that muscles start tightening up. So
they start to break down, and then you can literally hear your body as your feet start to drag.
As it starts to drag, you feel your feet sliding through, and you feel your hands.
Legs get heavy, and I understand it now because and like I said, I don't like running like that. I never have.
But you know how to.
But that's not even the point.
Mm-hmm.
I took these same things and did them myself to run. I ran Sam and Chris's Wicked Wine Run.
Shout out to Sam and Chris.
Yeah, if you haven't done it, you need to do it.
Yeah. Well, they have virtual runs now, that 100-mile virtual runs that are also as well.
And so I did that 5K for the first time, and I hadn't run over a mile since like I was in high school. I would do sprints and stuff, but nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and did that. Oh my God, I've done like miles and stuff I've done a 5K before that, and I was not sore the same.
What kind of stuff did she have to do? Give me an example of 1 or 2 exercises. Because see, if you just say that doesn't really, somebody might go and start doing a bunch of bench press thinking they...
No, it's, so we did like weighted arm movements, like having them understand how to
get move their involved.
Pulling, and there's some great workouts on the PE page that you can see that have that stuff. But we did that. We worked a lot on rhythm and tempo, like how to understand like different parts of not only just like the trail or whatever it is you're running, how to understand how to turn that up so that it's easier when you're going uphill, how to turn it down when you're going downhill, how when you're going downhill your goal is to just go with it and not let your legs go behind you, not like letting it relax. And then when you go up against the hills, when you work on things like when you're pushing sleds, when you're pulling things, that's the same type of movement that you want to have. Like if you were running up the field to cut people off, you want to have that type of intensity. And then the rhythm of the running, like you have to feel good about like your breathing as well, how to maintain relaxation while you're moving, not even just for that long, but for that 40. Like if you look at pictures of any of those combine athletes, I'm pretty sure they look hilarious because their cheeks are flopping everywhere.
Relaxed, their jaw flying.
Like all the fastest people will look like that. All the people that were trying super hard, their faces are gonna look clenched, and the ones that didn't run as good at times as they'd liked. And these are all gonna be fast people because these kids are competing to be able to play at the highest level.
Boom. So how do you coach them out of that? Like how do you get them to understand it doesn't take all of that effort? It takes more concentration and sharpness.
My slow drills honestly expose it the most because they can't. So like the A march, like the there's one where they stand against a wall and they bring their leg up and they extend it out. Like you can't muscle your way through certain movements. Like it won't allow for it. It forces you to have to take a deep breath in order to get the full extension, or in order to get the movement the way we're asking of it. Like you can't hold your breath and keep your back flat. Like it doesn't work. Right. It doesn't work for them, or they fart and it's hilarious.
How do you know that?
Just how do I know that? I went to school. I mean, what do you mean?
But I know that, and I didn't go to school for that. So like the only reason I know it is because of a lot of years in trial and error. You know, because you were educated.
Oh yeah, we had like I love UTA. Go Bears. You'll never hear me say that again because I don't like the Mavericks, the Dallas Mavericks.
But the Arlington.
UT Arlington Mavericks. But they have a great. They have a great kinesiology program where we fall under the College of Nursing and Health Innovations. And I had some really great instructors there. I'm actually friends with my strength conditioning coach or teacher, Stephen Newhart. He has a small business, I think it's called Vigor Active in downtown Fort Worth. He's a really good instructor. He took great pride in what he was teaching even as an adjunct. Like he took a whole day to display out different stuff like that. That's why I'd already seen it because I had spent the summer with Greg, and I got a chance to see the 5-10-5. I got to see the long shuttle too. I didn't even know there was a long version of it. It was ridiculous. I didn't want to do it again. And then we did balance ones. We did like the star, and then we did what else did we do? We did the 40, we did the 60. Like he set up different tests that you would see in these different arenas according to the sport. So I got a great set of teachers that exposed me to how to properly lift, how to take textbook movements and take it away. And we had labs for all of them. So we got a chance to do things like the YMCA test, metabolic testing, like different labs and things that we had with both GAs and teachers. And so I got the opportunity to understand those types of things in the classroom.
If you had to give a statement of guarantee, what would you say about the speed school program? And then what would you say about
They
the
would
total
at
body
least
tone program?
they would at least be able to jump rope.
At minimum, they'd be able to skip rope.
At minimum.
What does that do for them?
Oh my gosh, it does so much.
Like,
they have better rhythm.
Yep.
They understand how to control their bodies. They understand how, especially like for kids that are like 9 and 10 years old that are really, really tall.
And
that grew really quickly without an understanding of how to control all that length. It's a great way to bring them back inside. And then they don't look like dinosaurs running around.
Fantastic.
And then for the adults, an understanding of how to do the movements, like functional, everyday movements. Things like getting up off the ground without putting your hands on your knees. Things like getting up and off of the couch because you know how to activate your glutes and your hamstrings.
Will they burn fat?
Yeah.
Will they get buff?
No.
Okay, that's very important. Like you won't get buff, young lady. I promise, ladies, you won't get buff. Okay, you'll be lean and mean, and you look fantastic, but I don't think you'll get buff. So your statement of guarantee, you guarantee at minimum they'll be confident in the foot strike on the skip rope. What about maximum? What's the most they can get from?
Maximum. Better perfect movements, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is. Like when coaches go out to watch kids at their practices, they're paying attention from the beginning all the way to the end. And what you look like in your warm-up says a lot about what you look like on the court or on the field. I know that when I played basketball, I paid attention to the people, not only me warming up, but I paid attention to the other team because I needed to know, all right, this person's going to move like this. And the way they carry themselves when they think it doesn't matter is going to depict who's a force to be reckoned with, really, honestly, because the people that take it the most serious, that have the most pride in all the things that they do, considering every rep into perspective, because every rep counts. If you're only doing it half the time, you're only going to be a half A player.
There it is, right there. That's hilarious. You will only be a half A player. Okay. with that, let's stack your speed school program up against all the digital programs out there. How would it fare? What would you say about it? What kind of confidence you have in the ability to get what you're looking for out of it?
I feel good. I feel really good because I have spent the last probably like 3 years, and Kirk calls it recon.
Recon. You gotta make sure, you gotta go back and see what's happening.
Before he even told me about his little tasks that he had wanted to get done, I had been watching videos from this guy in Canada. His name is Pierre, and he has this spot called Pierre's Elite Performance, and he has a digital program, and his is really nice.
Yeah,
it's really nice. Like I've been keeping up with it for years. I know that's why he's been doing. Yeah, he does a really good job, and he gets really explosive athletes in there.
Yeah, he does.
He really does. Like that's his thing.
Yeah, we get the new developmental, like the kids that we had to groom, and so he gets some like top. But he gets it done. He's legit.
But I love the way he treats them all the same, like you know, like from the girls all the way up to the professionals that he works with. Like they're all the same style of drills. They're just progressed or advanced, and I think that's why I was attracted to that look. And I think that for me, when it comes to that, there's no reason for people to not understand or see why this is beneficial to them. Like that's why I feel good about it, because I know that my progressive mentality was put behind it in the same type of style. So I know that I have room to make it even, I don't want to say difficult, but what some people like to associate in athletics, like if you didn't sweat, it wasn't a good workout.
No, not the case.
But it's more about why they're doing these things so that I can add this layer on top later.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I feel like it's a good jumping off point.
Okay.
It's a great jumping off point.
Is that right? Okay, so I think we're out of time. A couple of things as we go. Grace, so I want to make sure I got the dates right. So we're talking about May 12th. They can go online and pre-order. They can actually get a copy. For the MSRP is $119. $59, a full out program that you can continually do. From that one, we have Speed School Level 2. We're not running out yet. Then you got Total Body Tone, and I think all adults, especially at this time, if you got bands, or you got medicine balls, or a couple of dumbbells at the house, it will be fantastic for you. It's at a very low price. You can continue to do the work. It's actually at a price if you had 1 month of work with us, if you take a look at it, and we're giving you everything. Gracie did a tremendous job, and if you speak Spanish, we also have it in Spanish, so I'm really excited about that. So you'll see May 12th, the link going out. That's how you get the lowest price available. I'm telling all of our Speed School clients now, and then our Total Body Tone clients now, if you're listening, do not order during your pre-order. You'll get a different email sending you to a different spot to get it at a different price. We're really excited about that. That's just a loyalty you've shown us, so we want to try to return the favor. But we do need your support. I think we can help a lot of people, coaches. Who is it directed towards, Grace? One more, can I get a minute, Kenny? Who is it directed towards?
Which one?
Like the Speed School program. We know the Total Body Tone is directed towards women, that are looking to max out their workouts. And it's progressive, so you have modifications. Everybody can do it, right? It's not something that's too difficult to do. You show a main exercise and a modification for it, and maybe a progression
Sometimes
for it.
two modifications.
Okay, so it can be done by, if you got
My parents
feet.
can do it. My
Okay.
mom is 61 and my dad is 70.
Because let me tell you what's going to happen to me. My daddy is going to see it go out, and he's going to call me and go, "Hey, man, let me ask you a question. What kind of stuff can I do, man, to get these legs right?" And after the surgery, these legs. And I'm going to be like, "Bro, why you ain't looking at the Speed School Total Body Tone program?" "Oh, man, I see some stuff I can do." So I'll give him stuff he can do, and he'll find ways not to do it. So if my old man can do it.
Yeah, he can do it.
All right, that's all I wanted to know, Grace.
Yeah.
So if the old man can do it, I'm 100 miles an hour behind it, because I'm excited about
I got a chance to make him do some work, so he can do it.
You say, yeah, Well, we appreciate it, Grace. Is there anything you want to leave the people with as far as what we got coming up? I know they're going to start allowing us in the next week or so, letting people back in the building. For us, it's a blessing because I have a hard time talking to crowds of people that I can't see online. But we're excited about getting back at it, and the world won't slow down once we kick this thing back off. So, Gracie, you're going to have to plant your feet in and get ready. And we want the world to get better with this program. So with that said, where can we find you?
You can find me online at Gracie, Gracie, Dagnino, Dagnino. I should spell that one. That's the harder one.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And my @ handle is GRAYCEE, and then my last name Dagnino. Those are pretty much all the ones that you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and I do have Twitter. I'm not quite as active there, but I do pay attention to it.
So if you guys have questions, if you guys are looking for instruction, if you guys just want answers, hit her up. And where in the Facebook, where can they find the program by the 12th? Where can they ask questions? Where can they find you to set an appointment as far as performance experience goes?
You can email me at GRACIE @PE28.com.
Okay.
And that way I can get that stuff to you. That way you can see it and have access to it in that way.
Yep.
Because it's the easiest way for me, other than my cell phone.
And if you got questions, if you got comments, if you're looking to have an appointment, you can always see us at Performance Experience on Facebook, at Performance Experience on IG, and is it, what is it on Twitter?
Performance Experience as well.
Okay, so at
Or Perform
Experience.
28.
Yeah, Perform 28 on Twitter. So we're all over the place. Check out our videos, check out our YouTube. You'll see the mechanic at work. She's worked with. One more thing. How many people have you worked with over the past 4 years? Guesstimate. 300? 400?
I don't know. No, I think
You don't think
it's
that many?
I don't think it's that many yet.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know.
It'll blow your mind when you get to about 1,500. You're not gonna believe it, trust me.
I don't know, I'd have to sit there and count.
Yeah.
I'd say at least 150.
Yeah, without a doubt. I can name 200 off the rip. All right. You guys have been fantastic. We're gonna leave you with this. Everything is the opportunity to learn before you put it into practice. If we're really trying to give these athletes a real chance to compete, not just at the level of sport that we may think they can or they cannot compete, how about we take into consideration that if you can learn it, you can maximize it. So we always say, give us a kid at 8 years old or 8th grade, and we'll be able to turn over the athlete that you're looking for. It's real simple because they've limited the bad habits. So with that said, let's try to eliminate these bad habits, or at minimum, limit the bad habits to maximize the opportunity, because in the direction that school is going and the importance of scholarships and the shift in this world, and speed is always at the forefront, don't get left behind. So we want to use that athletic vehicle to put us in the driver's seat for the rest of our life. With that said, you guys have a fantastic evening. I'm super proud of the little round-faced Mexican girl coming on and giving us all these gems. And if you don't get this program, you're insane. We'll talk to you guys next Monday. Thanks so much.